Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 527 of the Juicebox Podcast. Nicole is on the show today. She is the mother of a young man with type 1 diabetes. We talk about a number of things, not the least of which is how to get her son to want to pre-bolus his meals. I think you're going to like where this goes. I had a lot of fun making this episode. Nicole was absolutely delightful, and I am excited to bring it to you. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. If you're looking for the Diabetes Pro Tip series, they begin at episode 210. You can find a complete list of them at diabetesprotip.com. At that same link, you'll find a list of the Defining Diabetes episodes as well. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Dexcom G6 continuous glucose monitor. Please visit dexcom.com/juicebox to find out more. The show is also sponsored today by Omnipod, makers of the Omnipod Dash and bringers of the Omnipod Promise, which I'll tell you about a little more later in the show. Learn more today about the Omnipod at omnipod.com/juicebox. You back? Hello.
I think I'm back. Are you
back.
here?
Yeah.
There we go.
You tried to answer me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very clear right now.
Awesome. I just have to stand by this door.
You seriously?
Yeah, let me grab a chair.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to think about the whole time that you're standing by the door.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. No one's ever going to beat season 2, maybe. A woman who actually ironically was only a few miles from where I was. And she's like, I'm going to do it on my lunch break from work. And I was like, that's fine, you know? And, it was summertime and she starts talking. I'm like, I'm sorry, there's just so much noise behind you. I don't know what that is. Like, and she's like, describe it. And I was like, it sounds like you're in a tornado. And, she goes, oh, I'm in the car and I have the air conditioner on. I was like, oh, you know, we're going to need to reschedule. Like I can't talk to you while is happening behind you the whole time, you know? She goes, no, I'll just shut it off. But I was like, but you're in New Jersey, right? And she goes, yeah. I said, it's 96 degrees outside. You can't just shut it off. And she goes, well, I'll just roll the windows down. I like the hot weather. She rolls the windows down and all you can hear are weed whackers. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I'm sorry, like, we'll reschedule it. It's okay. And she's like, no. And she rolled the windows up. And in the entire time I'm talking to her, I was like, I'm going to get arrested like people who leave their dogs at the at the grocery store for 5 seconds. I'm like, someone's going to come and get me. You let that lady sit in a sealed car on a hot day to talk to you? But it worked out. So
yeah.
You don't have
Well, that'd be like me going outside in 30-degree weather.
Right. Where are you at right now? We are recording, by the way, so now's not the time to tell me anything weird sexually that you do or anything like that. So,
okay.
Where are you? I mean, I don't know what you're going to say. You know what I mean? Like,
so I live in or close to Whitefish, Montana, which is like northwest, just outside of Glacier Park.
Oh, no wonder you have a crappy signal. You live on the moon. Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Pretty close.
Montana is one of the places that I dream that one day I will go live in that I know I never will go live in. And I understand that if I showed up there, everyone would look at me side-eyed and be like, this isn't going to last. But you're born and raised?
Yeah. No, my husband is, but I've wanted to live here since I was little.
Yeah.
So I moved here about 20 years ago.
It seems beautiful. Like,
oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. There are listeners who send me pictures of places they think I should move to, and they're all like, I'm like, oh yeah, everyone should live here or here or here. Like, there's this place in Utah. I don't remember the name of it, but someone sent me like a link to the Commonwealth, and I looked at it and I was like, why does everyone not live here? you know, like just gorgeous. I'm sure the same for you. So do you live like, I know this isn't what you thought we were going to be on the show for, but are there like little towns or cities, or what's it like there?
So yeah, the Flathead Valley is right outside of Glacier Park, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 smaller towns, and I live 12 miles north of one of the smaller towns, Whitefish, in a teeny weeny little town.
Wow.
We have a bar and a post office, and we used to have a store, but we don't any longer.
What were you doing with it? Meaning, oh, look at the pictures when you type the words Glacier Park into the Google machine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's really beautiful. Yeah.
It is beautiful.
All right. I mean, that's worth not having a store, but not for nothing. But where do you get stuff from?
We just come to town.
Gotcha.
You know.
Wow.
Yeah. I work a mile or half a mile down the road from a grocery store. It's fine.
It's
Two of them, actually.
Is there, like, I'm sorry, I'll get off this in a second, but when you live in a small town like that, what do you do for work?
So I just drive to work. It's like 20 minutes, half an hour.
No, but I
drive
mean,
to town.
But I mean, like, is everyone in a service industry, or like, are there businesses there? Like, how do you do that?
Well, I did used to work at the bar that's down the road from our house. I work at a glass shop. We sell windows and doors and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of work from home things. We have a huge tourist industry here, huge. So yeah, there's the Big Mountain, Ski Mountain, and all the restaurants and
gotcha
shops and you name it.
All right,
we have all the same things you do.
Yeah, but I mean, like IBM doesn't have an office there or something like that.
No, not so much.
And now let's take the shine off of it. How cold does it get in winter?
Typically we sit around 20, 30 degrees, but we have our spurts of 20 below, and at night or with the wind chill, sometimes 30 below. Yeah. But it's not so bad. On the other side of the mountains, on the east side of Montana, they get really cold.
Yeah, because 20 below is not really cold. So,
no.
Yeah, you just took it from me completely. I'll never come there, and I don't care. Okay, now, yeah. Are there bears by any chance?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Have you ever run from a bear?
No, I have not.
No. What do you do if you see a bear?
You try to not look it in the eyes. Assess the scenario. Do they look aggravated? Is there cubs anywhere? You try to back away from it without looking at it and being aggressive.
Wow. Did you
use bear spray and a gun.
You almost to a T described how I deal with my wife when she's upset.
Yeah, I have the same thing with the husband.
I feel like if I said to you, what do I do if my wife's really upset? Let's say I said I was going to put up Christmas decorations and I didn't. And then I walked into the room. I would not make eye contact. I'd back away slowly. All right. So just the regular way to not get into a fight with somebody that wants to kill you. Gotcha.
Well, if only all husbands were like you, Scott.
Would you write that on a short note and I'll give you an address to send it to?
Absolutely. I'll make a t-shirt.
Thank you. Please tell me why you're on the show today.
So you were looking for ideas on Facebook, and I said I'd be game to talk about teens and not wanting to do diabetes.
I remember. Not
really in the game of giving a crap.
Gotcha. So are we using your name, or are we going to keep, what about the kid? We'll keep this say kid?
Sure.
Or what do you want to do?
His name is Briar.
Okay. And
he is 14. Almost 15. He'll be 15 soon.
How long has he had type 1 diabetes?
6.5 years.
6.5 years. I just realized I don't think we've said your name yet.
My name's Nicole.
Okay, Nicole, sorry. I just, right away when you were in Montana, I was like, oh, let's forget this diabetes stuff and talk about the place where I want to go, but I don't really want to go.
Oh, you want to come here?
No, I believe that I do, but I feel like I would like to be there in the spring. And no, when do
summer.
Summer. Okay. Is it still cold in the spring?
We have snow usually through May or until May.
Oh my God.
And then June, it just rains.
So I want to get in there in July. And how long is summer? 6 weeks? What do I have?
Summer likes to last almost through September.
All right. I'll come in August then. And it won't be crazy hot, or it will be?
One August we had 100 degrees, I think, the entire August.
You live in a wasteland. Is it ever nice there?
No, it's beautiful. You just jump in a lake.
A lake? I can't do that. I'm from the East Coast. Yeah. I'll get an amoeba in my brain. It'll kill me or something. Mm-mm. You sure?
Nope. Our water's crystal clear.
All right. I'm going to believe you. I'm going to write down Montana. August?
You can come. Yeah. August. You come stay with me and talk to Briar about doing diabetes.
You put me up. I'll fix that kid up. 2 seconds.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, the next time people are allowed to travel, I'm going to think about Montana. Am I going to run into a bunch of people like me, a bunch of idiots that are just want to pretend they're going to live there?
Sometimes. Mm-hmm.
All right. That's what I don't need more of me. I need less of me. All right. So this Briar kid, it's been a problem for you. He was diagnosed around 8 years old, it sounds like.
Yep.
And how did it go in the beginning?
It went really well. For a while, we did MDI and just finger checks. He was in DKA when we found out because we didn't know any of the symptoms or anything. Mm-hmm. I took him to the doctor because he had been sleeping all the time, super lethargic, typical, drinking tons of water, wetting the bed. So I took him in thinking maybe he had mono. And the nurse, fortunately, that we saw, she looked at him. She said, he has diabetes. And I said, what? She says, I need him to go pee in a cup. She said, I wouldn't tell you this. I'm not supposed to, but I have diabetes. And I'm really glad you guys got in here.
Wow.
So, yeah, she said, yep, he's got sugar in his urine. We need to check it, finger check him. And they came in and said, yep, he's got type 1 diabetes. And tears almost hit the other wall in the doctor's office. They shot out of my eyes. I thought he was a little overweight then. I mean, just barely a little bit. And I thought, oh man, I gave this to him, like the type 2 thing with, most overweight people and those sorts of things.
You thought you sugared him up with some bad food or something like that?
Yep.
Well, in fairness to you, I'm assuming the only food that can be shipped in has to have preservatives in it. You're either eating something that was just shot or something in a box, right?
Oh, pretty much, yeah.
No. You're not growing a potato there or anything like that, I would imagine.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So. All right. You basically live in a wagon, but people stopped because the lake was pretty. And they're like, we should live here. I can kill a bear. That's that. Uh-huh. Yeah. Can you imagine that people just wouldn't keep moving? They'd be like, that's pretty. I want to find the war. I would have kept going by then. If I made it to Montana, I would have got to California. You don't think so?
Oh, back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about like wagon trains.
Yeah. We actually, Lewis and Clark went like right through here.
And they didn't stop. They wanted the gold.
No, they went, they kept going to the east or the west coast.
Yeah,
sorry.
They were looking for money.
Yeah, you should see the mountain they passed over.
Like, do you look at it and think it's not possible for someone to get over that with a horse and a wagon?
Mm-mm. Yeah, totally. Because, I think how cold was it? Even in the summer times, it gets down, 40, 30 degrees at night. How did they do it? I don't get it.
I got to tell you, Nicole, if you took me a half a mile from my house on a night that was, let's say, 26 degrees, no wind, and spun me in a circle really fast and I didn't know where I was at, I'd start to cry in like 5 minutes. Like, I want to go home. Take me home. All right. So in the beginning, you find a great nurse, which is excellent. And he probably saves you a ton of hassle and trials and tribulations. He's diagnosed pretty quickly. You're managing just injections and a meter, no CGM or anything like that.
We were then, we went, straight to the ER and into the ICU for days. Mm-hmm. They called in a nurse who had a son who had diabetes also for the 3 days we were there, which was wonderful. We overwhelmed her with questions, of course. Yeah. We got some training, went home and did our things. Actually, we didn't even go home. We had a little camping trip planned that weekend, and I brought him into the doctor's thinking nothing of it. And we missed out on our little camping trip. So we went straight to our camper when we got out of the hospital. And our friends stuck around and waited for us to come back, which it was wonderful.
I don't mean to derail the trip, but why, if you live in Montana, do you have to derail the conversation? Excuse me, but why do you have to go camping if you live in Montana? Wouldn't that be like me renting a house up the street?
Well, kind of. Because it's beautiful and you're not sitting in front of a TV, at night. You're sitting next to a fire at a lake or a river or something. Actually, we were camping at my in-laws' house.
Okay.
Which is just a couple miles down the road from us, but they have the most beautiful spot ever. So
gotcha. So they have more like outdoor property that overlooks things, etc. Or no?
They live right on the river that comes out of the lake. That is right there. It's just a great place for us to all gather, and kids love swimming and they float down the river a little ways and we go pick them up, and
any snakes?
We just have a blast.
Snakes? No snakes?
What's that?
Are there snakes there?
Little gardener snakes.
Nothing that can kill me?
Those over on the east side, usually, and a little more south, they have rattlesnakes.
What? All right. See, what are you doing to me? I was about to ask, like, how much could I buy your, like, the property that you camped on? Like, what would that cost? Not theirs exactly, but what does property cost out there? Do you have any idea?
It's actually pretty expensive. Yeah, it's hard to find anywhere that you can get power to, or, here we can drill wells, so you have that, but you have to get power to them. And so that's pretty expensive. But I think an acre around here goes between 50,000 and 100,000, probably, depending. Depending.
That's just I'm writing this down. 50, 100 acre. That there's no house on this. Just I'm getting
on just an acre of land. No.
Yeah.
But where my in-laws live, yes, they have a beautiful house.
Say I'm buying your in-laws' place. Don't tell me exactly their place, but in ballpark, what am I paying for the whole kit and caboodle?
It is actually for sale.
Go ahead.
I think that they should ask close to $1 million for it, but I think they're more around the 700 mark.
So I got to have a big pile of cash and no need to work, right? Unless okay.
And a good savings to pay your property taxes.
Are the taxes heavy?
They can be, yeah.
Oh, Jesus, everybody wants to got their hand out. Nicole, I'm just trying to live. I'm just kidding.
I know.
All right. I'm sorry. I really am fascinated. And yet I'm sure people listening are like, well, now that we've got Scott's, vacation / retirement questions out of the way, let's find out about Briar being difficult. So
okay, I'll send you a picture when we're done.
Seriously, I would love that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So in the beginning, I imagine you're managing him, right? Like, it's not like he's doing anything.
Yes. But he was very involved with himself. Like, I think I have probably only given him 2 shots in this whole time. He did all of that himself, did his own finger pricks and things like that. I do at night for him, but he mostly, but I made all the decisions.
How long was it going along okay? And was it going okay? Where was the A1C? Were you happy with what it was, or was it a struggle?
Well, I can't remember what it was when he was diagnosed. I want to say he was around like a 12, somewhere in there. And we just gradually kept getting him down, kept getting him down. I think it was like 10, then 9, then 8. It's a struggle now more, but he honeymooned a little bit, but not a whole lot, not for very long, and not as intense as I hear other people do it,
But as far as his interest in diabetes, and meaning, I'm assuming, telling you I'm eating something, pre-bolusing, that kind of stuff. Like, how long was he like an active participant before you ran into the problem?
He was pretty young then, so it was a lot easier because he was around me more, so I knew what he was doing. And I did a lot of the food prep and carb counting and things for him, and say, okay, this is what we've got. Here's how much we need to take for this. And, that kind of stuff. That was a couple of years, probably
8, 9, 10. He was okay. And then did a bell sound, a light go off over his head? Like, what was the first indicator? How did it begin?
So where I think it starts a little bit is when now he's able to, stay home alone. When he's at school, he goes out in the woods and things by himself. He does go work a little bit for his grandpa and some other people. when he's not constantly with me is when we run into trouble.
Okay, so it's proximity to you that causes the problem.
Basically, even though we have, a G6 and we have our phones and I wear a watch and I text him and I call him and I text him and I call him. Yeah, he's just like, whatever.
So would it surprise you if I told you I don't think that's crazy, and that if I wasn't near Arden, I think her A1C would be 10?
Yes.
Yeah, because
seems like she's a better listener to you.
She listens to me.
Our experience.
Right, but she's 16. So that thing could beep in her ear, and if she's busy or disinterested, she's busy or disinterested. Like, she doesn't, like if you put Arden with a group of friends and I hear beep beep, she doesn't go, "Wait, everyone, my blood sugar has crested 120. I need to act quickly so that I can stop this without using too much insulin so that I don't get low later." She doesn't talk like the podcast in her head. She would literally just not. I'd wait a minute or two and call across the room if I was there and say, "Hey, did you hear your CGM?" And she'd go, "I didn't hear it." Or she'd say, "Mine didn't beep." And I'd be like, "Yours is the one I heard." "No, it wasn't." That's pretty much it. She's 16. She doesn't, you know what I mean? Like in perfect truth, if there was a beep that went off every time there was $1,000 in the living room under the sofa, I don't know that she'd get up to go get it.
True story.
Beep, beep. Oh, another $1,000 in the living room. I'm busy. And so I get it, but I do think there are kids, because they come on here sometimes, and they're rule followers, and so they follow the rules. I think that can get confusing, where people are like, "Oh, look, there was a 15-year-old boy on, and he's very worried about his health." I think you put that kid in front of anything, set him some rules, and he'd be like, "I have to follow the rules." Briar's just not that kid. Like, and I don't believe that Arden is either. I don't believe that most of them are. I don't think most adults are. I say all the time, I just said it to somebody the other day, you give me type 1 diabetes, I'm probably not nearly as good at it for myself as I am for Arden.
Yeah.
Right?
True story.
Yeah. So the problem I think that people in your situation run into, and my situation and everybody's, is that, especially when you're talking about kids, it's easy to say because you hear people say it all the time, but their brains they're still kind of jelly, and it's hard to make them care about something. And you don't want to just scare the living hell out of them, because that probably won't help, and it's definitely going to be detrimental in other ways. Would you say that it's harder on his health or your psyche when he ignores it?
I think we're in a tie there. I don't know. I mean, he seems to be all right. Like he likes to run high, or he doesn't like it, but that's his in-game result in this whole thing. Cause he's like, "What? I ate. I don't need to give myself any insulin. I'm cool. It's just a push of a button. It's fine." But me, I'm like, no. But yeah. Okay. Probably more my psyche.
Did you know that you may be eligible for a free 30-day supply of the Omnipod Dash? 30 days. Omnipod.com/juicebox. That's 30 days to try the Omnipod Dash and see what you think. You're not locked in. You don't have to love it. You could say, "I don't want to do this when it's over." That'd be fine. Or you could just keep going. That'd be fine too. Omnipod Dash is worth taking a look at. And I mean, a free 30 days, that's kind of a no-brainer, right? Now, if you're one of those people who's more inclined to wait for the next big thing, if you're like, "Oh, I'd like to start on Omnipod, but I'm waiting for whatever they've got coming next," I understand that feeling. But you don't need to do that. Why? Because of the Omnipod Promise. And the Omnipod Promise is super simple. Here's what it says. You can upgrade to Omnipod's latest technologies for no additional cost as soon as they're available to you and covered by insurance. Terms and conditions apply, and you can find out all the details at omnipod.com/juicebox. Super simple to understand, right? You want to get started with the Omnipod, but you heard maybe something's coming and you're like, I'll wait. But you don't have to wait. And you don't have to be scared about starting now because of the Omnipod promise. So check it out. Omnipod.com/juicebox. This part's just for Australians. Australia, the Omnipod Dash insulin management system is coming to you. If you'd like to get in line now to get information, right? Just going to be a place where you're just going to go and fill out a little bit of information so you can stay in the loop. If you want to stay in that loop, omnipod.com/juiceboxau/juiceboxau. omnipod.com/juiceboxau. That's just for Australians. So Australians, if you want to find out the details, Omnipod is getting ready to share them, and they'd love it if you'd come put your email in so they can find you when the time comes. All right, now, the next advertiser is an oldie but a goodie. One of the ones you love to love. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dexcom G6. You know you want a Dexcom. You know you need to see it. You want to see the blood sugar. Where is it? How fast is it moving? What's it going to do next? What direction is it moving in? These are important pieces of information to have. And they help you make great decisions with insulin and carbohydrates. See if your blood sugar is falling or rising. How quickly is it doing that? Is your kid at school and having a little thing? Well, how would you know? It's easy, because if they had a Dexcom G6, then they could share their information with you. Actually, with you and anybody you wanted, really. Up to 10 followers, Android or iPhone, could see another person's Dexcom information. Maybe it's not your kid. Maybe it's your loved one, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother. Maybe you just want to share your information with somebody. You can do that with a Dexcom. So get started today. Dexcom.com/juicebox. There are links in the show notes. There are links at juiceboxpodcast.com where you could just type it in. Dexcom.com/juicebox and get going. Find out what your blood sugar's doing, where it's going, so you can make decisions that make sense. All right, so then let's figure out the parameters of what we're talking about here. He's not paying attention and it doesn't listen. And what is that result for his health? Like, what are you seeing literally for A1Cs right now?
We were supposed to go in yesterday and he wasn't feeling well and I had to change our appointment. And I was so excited to tell you what it might be. But so we have not gotten under 7, but I did get him down to 7. And I think the last one 3 months ago was like 7.6.
Okay.
Or something like that.
So a mid-7 for a 14-year-old kid who's managing on his own. There are going to be plenty of people who hear that and think, wow, he's doing great. And there's an argument to be made for that for certain. And now there's an expectation that you have, because it's not 1991 and 7.5 isn't the, what doctors say anymore. And
ours does. I'm like, no, it's not good enough.
Yours also knows how to take an elk and turn it into a lovely wall hanging. So I'm not sure. Yeah, right. So, which by the way, I'm just going to come out and say, I don't understand. I don't understand hanging the head of something on a wall. You can understand it. I'm not judging you. I really don't care if you do it. It's not something that I can wrap my head around.
It's a trophy.
Yeah, I know, but we throw trophies out around here. Look, I won a tournament. Great, right in the garbage. So okay, my wonderment here is, since you're not going to change the nature of a person and of a child, right? Like, there's nothing you could do to him or with him, I don't believe at the moment, like, that instantaneously would turn him into a person who's like, oh, you know what, I ate, I definitely have to bolus, I'm going to check again in an hour. You're not going to be able to make him that person, right? Like, instantly. And so to me, that puts you right into the long game, and I always think of parenting as a long game. So now you're going to have to come up with a slow, step-by-step plan to get him there before college. You know what I mean? If you think he's going to leave you and go to college, don't cry, by the way, or maybe don't celebrate. I'm not sure how you're going to respond to that, but I think that's always how I've handled Arden. Like, I've never thought that I could just jam everything that I know and care about into her head and she would just take it on as her personality, because I don't think she will. So my goal is to get Arden self-sufficient at a stable, low blood sugar before she leaves, because Arden talks about going to college in London sometimes.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So she's only 16. I don't know where she'll end up going, but when she muses about it, it's New York, London, this school I found, blah, blah, blah. And not one of them sounds like it's close to my house when she's talking about it.
Yeah.
So part of the groundwork that I laid for that was that I just outright said to her, Arden, I don't know if I can afford to send you to school in London. That bridge we haven't crossed yet. I have to buy Nicole's in-laws place, and I need about $1 million for that. So, but seriously, like, I don't know that we can even afford this, but we can't even talk about it or imagine that it might happen if you can't do for yourself what I do for you. Like, you need to be able to take care of yourself at this level in order for me to bankroll you going anywhere. And that's non-negotiable. Understand that. So that's how I.
That's a Scott bribery thing right there.
Yeah, right. I'm just setting stuff up for the future. So
yeah,
you're just playing chess.
Yeah, we talk about that. Briar probably won't go to college. He is a through and through Montana boy. He actually, his dream is to be a logger. But we've had the discussion of, here's the deal, bud. You're going to have a really great job with good insurance, and right. It's a hard pill to swallow, but this is what life is going to be. So we're going to try to help find something, and it doesn't have to be computers or anything like that. We can get you maybe in a trade, electrician or a millwright, or, something where you can work for a company with great insurance.
Right.
So, and he's a smart kid, man. He's a smart kid, and he is really good at, like, he runs his grandpa has an excavator and a skid steer and all these things. He's awesome at running equipment. He's driving a dump truck.
Wow.
Drives a pickup. He's not supposed to, but
who's going to stop him? A bear? A snake? I mean, honestly, what do you have? No. One cop? Is it like right?
The ice did earlier this year.
How many? There's like one cop in Montana, right? You just have to avoid him while you're driving.
I wish.
Well,
I wish.
Tell Briar the way I used to do it, and I used to drive underage in a much more populated place. Is every time I saw a cop, I would just turn my head the other way so they couldn't see my face. So,
well, Briar looks totally of age to do it. So,
okay,
he's a big boy.
I definitely did not, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned on the podcast. So here's as good of a place as any, because I don't think the statute of limitations has got to have been up for a long time. I have been a daily driver of an automobile daily since I was 13 years old. Because
we could almost say that about Briar.
Yeah. My dad left my mom. My mom didn't drive. We were screwed. We took in a boarder to make some money up, and the boarder had a car. I guarantee it didn't have insurance. And all of a sudden it was possible to get groceries in the wintertime. And I taught myself how to drive. And I taught myself how to drive by getting in a car and driving away.
Good for you.
Yes. And then
we taught Briar how to drive when he was 7.
Yeah, I used to watch my dad, like, how hard he would press the pedals, and I was like trying to figure it out when I was little.
There you go.
I felt like I had it enough, and then I got in this jalopy, went 3 blocks, stopped at a red light in a rainstorm. It shut off and wouldn't start back up through 3 red light cycles, and I was like, all I could think was, a cop's gonna come. I gotta get this car started. I got it started. And I took off. I was 13. Go look at your 13-year-old kids and wonder if they could handle that. Because I know when my kids were, my son's going to be 21 next month, and he's not good at doing anything that he's not good at doing. But anyway, I think that then if that's the situation with Briar, if you feel like he's going to stay local and he's going to work a job and the job's not going to be sitting around for certain, so there's going to be, he's going to be running a machine or working physically or something like that, then you just have that same conversation with him. Like, I want you to do what you're going to do, but you have to understand, as a person who loves you and your mother and all that, I have to set you up to be healthy through your whole life. And if I shove you out the door and you get one of these jobs when you're 18, you can't run around with your blood sugar where it's been. And I actually, let me take a look real quick. I have this thing on the website. It's a calculator and it works backwards and forwards. So if his A1C, thank you to the person who made this for me, if his A1C is 7.6, his average blood sugar is 171. And so there's plenty of, I'm assuming he's staying higher in his mind to avoid lows. No. He, so I can keep him pretty steady at 100. So his A1C is up there because during the daytime when I'm at work and he's, up to his own devices, he eats and he doesn't give himself insulin for that. And so he's sitting up at 400 for hours. Oh, so this is the balance of a 400 and a 100. So he's not just not trying as hard as you. He's not trying at all.
At all, pretty much. Yes.
What a little
even with mom calling and texting, hey, dude, come on. Like, we got to get this down. Do this, do that, do this. What do you think you need to do?
And he says, I think I need to hang up the phone and stop listening to you.
Or he just doesn't answer.
Is there, I have to ask, is part of it his physical size? Does it change when they get bigger than you?
A little bit, yeah. And the monster 14-year-old attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's harder to shout that back down when they get, like, he must feel invincible, I would imagine. How big is he? How tall is he?
So he is pushing 6 foot. I mean, he's very, very close to it, and like 250 pounds.
Holy hell.
Yeah, he is a big kid.
Is it? It's muscle, right?
Not all of it.
Not all
he
of
is
it?
a little overweight.
How the hell's he keeping his weight up being 400 all the time? That's interesting.
He just eats a lot.
I was going to say he's eating a ton.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. I would think so, but maybe it's because then I get home and I get on it and get his blood sugar down and keep it there. I don't know.
So the idea is that it's a break. I'm imagining if I had him here, he'd tell me this is his break from diabetes. You go to work, he stops thinking about diabetes for a while. Does he not feel well during that time?
Sometimes. Actually, the day that you were like, hey, come on the podcast, he did bad. He had been high for a couple days in a row. And, everything I did, I couldn't get him down, did everything. Ended up with some ketones. We were able to flush him out, but he felt awful.
He's using a pump?
He uses Omnipod.
And he's got a CGM. Okay.
Yep. So, he's even like, call my doctor, see what we need to do. So I did, we did everything. And I said, this is a natural consequence, bud. Like, do you like to feel this way? I've tried really hard, especially after you did that podcast about adult T1s saying what their what parents shouldn't do or what worked really well. I've kind of backed off a little bit and not yelled at him and things like that. And I said, this is what happens when your blood sugar runs this high. You feel awful.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And I was hoping that would get through to him, but
what decade?
It did for about a day.
What decade did physical intimidation stop being a parenting tactic? This must have been in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I'm just joking, but I'm just remembering how scared I was of my parents. And I don't know what they could have said to me that I wouldn't have been like, yes, no problem. I'll take care of it right now.
Yeah.
Please don't
I'm
kill
still
me.
Scared of my dad.
Yeah. Not that that's right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's easier, in the moment. Long term, obviously, different problems. But okay. So he's got the tools. He's not even using them a little bit. Do you have his alarm set up really high so it's not beeping?
No. No, I don't. I think I have his set at 130 and mine's at 120.
So this thing's beeping at him all day long.
So he puts it on vibrate.
Okay.
And I don't think he can feel it, even though if it's in his pocket, when he's at school, it's in his pocket and it's buzzing. And then he's got his Dash PDM in his other pocket and it's buzzing. I don't know if he can feel it anymore, and I know at school he says, I just don't want to pull it out, Mom, because the other kids will think I'm pulling out my phone.
Yeah.
And I said, so what?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah. I don't care what they think.
Your health is way more important than what they think.
Do you think, I know that I've drilled that into Arden's head forever. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. It matters how you are. Like, you need to be healthy. If they can't be accepting of that, they're not friends, but I'm also a person who tells my kids, like, look, as an adult, you might be lucky if you have 4 really good friends. You're not trying to collect every person you've ever walked into as a close confidant. If you end up with a lot of friends, that's great. But, from what I've seen, that's not how life works out. Usually you have a couple of, like, a close group of people if you're lucky, and that's that. I don't know if that was the right thing to tell her or not. But she definitely doesn't care what other people think about her diabetes. Yeah. But I also got her younger too. I was able to work it, over time.
Yeah. He has never really cared very much. Like all the other kids, most of his friends are like from our family friends, their kids, they've all grown up together. They're all relatively close in age. They love to like watch him change his pod or put on a new sensor or give himself a shot. They all think it's great. And so he's just like, yeah, whatever. Here you go. You guys want to do it? He doesn't really have a whole lot of friends at school, but he also is one of those kids who doesn't care what people think. He really doesn't. He dresses differently than all the rest of the kids do. He's in there with his cowboy boots on and his flannel shirt. And, the rest of the kids are like Vans and skater pants. And
is that an excuse then? I don't want to pull it out in class because people think it's my phone.
That's what he tells me.
Yeah, but do you think he's just making up that excuse because he doesn't want to pull it out because he doesn't want to be bothered with it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you can't really listen to them. They're liars too. The kids. They say anything because they don't want confrontation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't trust the ones that tell the truth all the time, to be honest with you. Yeah. All right. So he's going to ignore everything that happens around diabetes. It's only under control when you're around him.
Uh-oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm here. Hello. Testing. Hello. I can hear.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you the whole time.
Oh, I couldn't hear you.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So I was just saying that, this is, as long as he's not around you, he's going to put no effort into it. When he's around you, we're keeping it around 100. I'm assuming the only thing you're doing differently is pre-bolusing food.
Yes. And, if I say, oh, we didn't hit that mark, I'm constantly looking. I'm getting alerted. So I'm like, hey, give me your pump or put in, 2 units or whatever. Yeah, I'm the one paying attention. Like, I'm the one who has diabetes.
Right. No. But I'm saying his settings, are you okay?
Yeah, I kicked the sawhorse here.
Oh, that's fine. You can kick the sawhorse? That makes it so much more authentic. Thank you. Where are you sitting?
I'm sitting in the shop at work.
Oh, thank you. I love that you said sawhorse. That's like so authentic now. People definitely know she's in Montana. Meanwhile, I have a sawhorse at my house, but that's not the point. I'm wondering this, and I've steadfastly stood behind this for quite some time as a parent. There are just times that you need to bribe your kids, right? So my thought here is, in my opinion, what you need is for him to consider his meals, pre-bolus them, and eat. Like that alone would be a huge difference in his life. What would motivate him? Forget about diabetes for a second. Like, what would motivate him to do anything? Clean a bathroom. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, where's the line for him? What's he?
I'd have to buy him a chainsaw.
Okay. See, that was an unexpected answer that, again, I very much enjoyed. And I'm going to tell you, like, so here's my thought. How much is a chainsaw?
Oh, like $400 or $500.
Okay. You have $400 or $500?
Not especially, but I could probably save it up.
Okay. All right. So here's what we do. I'm getting a calculator out. Be honest. Give me an amount of time you think it would take you to save $500.
Well, here's my really smart thing I did this year too, is I forgot to re-sign us up for our flex money. So, and of course, yesterday I got to order all of his supplies.
So it might be about 6 months.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah, a couple months.
But that's what we need. We need a little bit of time, okay? So let's lie to the kid, because he lies to you. And let's base our whole relationship around lying, and just tell him it's going to take me 6 months to save $500. And let's imagine that he eats 3 meals a day, right? And, you know, you're like, no, there's 7 meals a day. But let's just say 5 times a day he's bolusing for food. Is that fair? Okay. 5 times 7 times 4, 140 times 6. All right. So he's going to have to make 840 pre-boluses in the next 6 months, right? Now, here's what we do. How do we value the pre-boluses? It doesn't matter how we value them. We take the 840, I'm getting to it. All right. So basically, if my math is correct, God bless me, I hope it is, because I'm doing it in front of people. You give him like $1, I don't know, you know,
$1 a bolus.
Tell him you're going to give him $1 a pre-bolus or something like that. And so it won't sound like a lot, but tell him this. Here's the game. I'm going to give you $1 every time you pre-bolus. And once you've done it 500 times, I'm going to buy you the chainsaw. And here's my thinking around that. I really need you to take better care of yourself. I know you don't understand this right now, but if I just disappeared today, you would have serious health problems. And I can't live with that. And trust me, you're going to get to an age where you look back and realize this is not what you should have done. And it's a defining moment in your life. And it's going to color everything that comes forward. You don't realize it right now. I know you're 14. I know you don't understand that when you're 30, you're going to look back on this moment and say, I shouldn't have done that. It was a huge mistake. I wish I could go back. And I only know that because about 100 adults have said that on this podcast. You know, I got older, I look back, blah, blah, blah. And it's not something I can teach you right now. It's a lesson that time is going to teach. The problem is if it takes you too much time to learn it, which it seems at this point that's what's going to happen, it's going to affect your health, right? So we want to speed up the process of your maturity around diabetes. And I am willing to buy you a chainsaw at the end of this if you do what I'm saying to do. And this is going to lead to a much healthier life. I think you're going to feel way better. You're not going to realize it at first, you know, but you are. It's winter right now. So it's kind of great timing because he's going to be a little more sedentary, right? Like it's not like he's as active outdoors. This is a perfect time for him to be able to do it. And what is it you're really asking of him? A couple of minutes of effort every day so that when spring comes, he owns his own chainsaw like he wants to. Yeah. I'm telling you.
Actually, we are fairly active in winter, Scott.
Why? I would go inside. I'd never come out.
The kids ride snowmobiles, and Briar, he has skied. He doesn't like it. And we ice fish all the time. Holy I know you're going to go crazy.
What are you doing? Why? You got to build like a little like thing outside so you can, and you go inside. No. You do it right on in the open?
Yeah.
The people in Wisconsin don't like that.
If it's a nice day, yeah.
I don't know. The people in Wisconsin don't like that. They build a little fort around the hole in the ice.
I think they get a little more wind than we do.
Gotcha. Well, that does make sense, doesn't it? Because they're closer to Canada, and Canada's got to be windy because it's cold. I understand.
I only live 40 miles from the Canadian border.
Seriously? Wait a minute. Yes. Let me draw a little map of the United States in my head. Oh, I do see you up there. And kind of like the leftish middle part, cornerish, not really. Right there. I see it. Okay, I see what you're getting.
Got it.
All right. Oh, yeah. I was paying attention in school. But do you think you could make something like that work for him?
I think we could definitely give it a try.
Would he go for it?
for a chainsaw, yeah, probably.
Here, I'll tell you what, if you want to look into my devious mind a little bit, you take an envelope and you tell them, look, the reason we have to do it this way is because it's going to take me a little time to save up the money. But if it helps your health, I'm excited for that and I'm willing to do it. And then take this envelope and go, I'm going to prepay the first 50 pre-boluses and put a $50 bill in an envelope and then stick it up in a hutch or something like that. And he's going to know you're serious then. And 50 is enough for a 14-year-old kid in Montana. That's going to feel like you put like $1,000 into an envelope and he's going to be really excited. Am I right? Is 50 enough to get this kid jacked up? Brilliant. Right?
I think so. If it's going for that, yeah, I think so.
Because I'm saying it could be 20. Just pick a number that's going to make him go, ooh, this lady's serious. And go, I'm going to prepay this many, right? And not only that, because I love you, I'm going to help you this whole time. This whole time. Anytime you ever need help, you text me and say, hey, I'm thinking of eating this. What do you think we should do here? And we're not going to get it perfect, right? Our first goal is just for not to have big jumps in blood sugars that don't come down. He understands what'll happen if you pre-bolus and get the carb counts close. He knows it'll go better for him. Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've had many days where I'm with him all day and it's, he might get up to 180 or something for a little while, but I'm like, don't you feel so much better? Yeah, kind of, he'll say.
Yeah.
I'm like, see, it's easy. And it's easier if you keep it closer in range. It's easier to take care of and it doesn't take as much effort.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea. I have to be honest, if he was a little older, I would have told you use a girl, but this was definitely like, just be like, look, I know a girl, I'll introduce you to her. But he's too young for that. He's not going to care yet. Or if he cares, it's creepy and I don't want to be involved. So,
I don't either. I'm his mother.
Yeah. Wait till a girl comes to your house. It's like the worst thing that ever happened, or a boy, depending on their situation. Really, really not, it's not fun. You're like smiling and you're like, oh, I hate her. How is this?
It kind of makes me sick to my stomach.
Oh, it certainly should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until they're older. And then it's a little less sickening. But seriously, though, Cole had a friend over recently, and I don't think they're going to be, it doesn't seem to me like they're going to get together, but I think they both like each other. And she left. And I said to my wife, I'm like, that one's perfect. How come it's not that one? I was like, because the one before this one, she's talking. I'm just like, oh my God, no, not this one. You don't say anything. You have the same smile on your face no matter what. You're just like, oh my God, yeah. Please don't give me a grand chop with that person. I don't have it in me to pretend for the rest of my life. I can do it now, but I couldn't do it forever, I don't think. Which I'm sure is what Kelly's parents thought when they saw me. I'm imagining. They're like, oh God, not that one. Sure that's what we all think. Anyway. Okay. Does that hold that holds water for you?
I think so.
So talk me through it a little bit. How's it going to work?
Well, let's see.
I don't know your
best. I mean, I
don't know your day to day, so I don't know exactly.
I get up, start getting ready for whatever's going on. First thing I do is always check a blood sugar. I figure out, okay, how long is it going to be till we eat breakfast? I'll go in and bolus. He's still sleeping usually. So I go in and bolus. And for the last while, we've really been low carb in the morning because his body was just crazy. Like, it's the foot on the floor and all of that stuff. But this year I was just like, screw it. I am so done cooking eggs and bacon every morning. And he's sick of it. And so I just like punch him with insulin basically in the morning.
Right.
And just hope that he will listen to me if we miss it and he's at school, and I'll be like, hey, you need some more insulin. Let's please get on it. But hasn't quite worked out that well. But so we do that, and then he takes a lunch every day, and I usually put in, hey, you got 80 carbs or whatever. I just put a little note. And sometimes I say, please put in. Your mommy loves you. Do it for me, if anything. And sometimes he does. Sometimes he doesn't. And then dinner time usually, if he's around, I'll say, okay, dinner's gonna be done in such and such time. Let's put in for this much and correct this blood sugar or whatever. But a lot of lately, because he's been so high, I'm like, come on, we got to get your blood sugar down. We got to get it down. Hasn't been eating dinner till way later, trying to get it down.
Hey, you broke up a little bit, but I'm what I got out of it was he's been eating dinner later because you've been working on getting his blood sugar down before he eats because it's been higher. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You broke up for a second.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. You live again on basically the moon. So what are you going to do? I'm assuming there's not a lot of cell towers in Montana.
There's one a little ways down the road here, but
I drive 8 feet and I see a cell tower.
They describe them as trees here.
They disguise them as trees?
They put fake Christmas tree lips.
Oh, you're breaking up, Nicole.
They put fake Christmas tree limbs on them.
Nicole, you broke up there for a minute, but I get it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. Fake Christmas tree
Is
lights.
it any better?
It is, and then it isn't. There's no way to know. So if you were in one place with the phone and you're now in another, put it back where it was. So
no, I haven't moved.
You haven't moved? Hey, I'll tell you what then. If that's true, hold on a second. I'm going to disconnect it and then jump back through the link, okay? And get back on.
Okay.
All right. Okay. It's worth a try to do this.
Okay. Are you there?
Yeah. You sound good.
I can hear you.
Great. Yeah. Well, I have a lightning fast fiber optic. I could send you an actual car through the internet if I wanted to. But that's for the podcast. I have upload speeds that I don't think anybody normally has. So
I almost went to, so the guy that I work with, he has a podcast and he has the fastest internet you can get here in the Valley. And I almost said, let me go to your house and get on your stuff.
Oh, that would have been cool.
But
you didn't want to get killed. You're like, I don't know this guy that well.
Well, no, his kid's home and he'd be like, who is this chick?
I got you. Mom, it's happening again. Ladies are showing up during the day.
Yeah. So no, he's a single dad and he has a podcast for other single dads. He helps fight for them.
Nice.
When they really need the custody.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
well,
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
But you're married, right? There's a guy there with you.
I am.
Does he help?
Yeah,
I don't want to get him in trouble, but is he helping with the diabetes stuff at all?
No. No.
Is that a problem? If you already had that argument and it's over and I don't want to dredge it back up, or
no, it would sure be nice to have a little more help, but it's just the way it's been for 6 years,
You could take your lady parts and think of them as a chainsaw and probably work that out too.
I could do a lot of things with those guys.
I'm just saying. It is that would work, in case you're wondering. I mean, from my perspective, I don't even know you and I've never seen you. And I'm telling you right now, if you teased me along like that, I could probably pretty much do whatever you asked. So,
right.
Anyway, why don't you tell him about the plan? Because I can't believe I'm saying this. Because there's a chainsaw involved, he might be interested. And then, right, sorry, but that makes sense to me. And I know there are things that I'm more interested in when I care about them, and that's sort of how my boy brain works. So lay the plan out for him. I would, and tell him, look, I'm going to need your help a little bit. Is he around at times when you're not around?
Once in a while, yeah. So he works for the railroad, and so he goes 250 miles each direction, east and west, from here, overnights and different. His phone he's like an on-call. It's hard to explain, but so he could go to work at 2 a.m. He could go to work at 2 p.m. We have really rarely have any idea ever. So it is best that I do it because he's not there for a majority of the time. If
you put him in a position where he went to your son and said, "Hey, Briar, look, I know you and your mom are talking about this thing, and I'm very supportive of it, and I just want you to know I don't know what I could do to help, but if there's something, let me know." Is there any way that Briar could get a bump, a fatherly bump like that? You know what I mean? Just noticing he cares usually is very helpful. Like and I don't want you, I don't know your husband. Like, I don't mean for him to pull him in a room and threaten him. Listen to me, do what your mom says about this.
Before.
but literally just like one of those passing, like, hey, I heard about the thing about the chainsaw. I think it's cool. And just like, I think you can do it. Like just one of those little things. So make him practice, take him in the bedroom, make him say it a bunch of times so it sounds normal. And then send him out into the house and tell him, look, the next time you cruise by him, do that. Like, as I think that's good for, I recognize that their kids in some families are raised mainly by one person. And, but it doesn't mean that they wouldn't like to hear from the other person. It just becomes normal that the parenting doesn't come through them. And maybe that might snap Briar's attention up. Maybe he'd be like, wow, my dad's aware of this and he seems to care about it. Like, he might not be conscious a thought, but I'm just trying to give you extra ammunition to, move them along.
Any ideas are great because we're kind of at a loss at this point.
No, and it's a significant thing. You're making me think of a woman I met in Kansas City. No, not Kansas City. Where the hell was I? Maybe it was Kansas City. All right, let's say it was Kansas City because that's where I think I was. I'm not 100% sure. But I met this person who came up to me, and she was a mom. She wasn't in her 50s. I'd put her at like maybe her mid 40s, and she pulls out this 24-hour graph and shows it to me, and it was horrifying. And it sounds a lot like Briar's. And I thought she's going to tell me, I don't know what to do with my blood sugar, and she's like, this is my son. And I was like, oh, okay, she's following somebody. And then I started like noticing what was going on. But then she started telling me that the kid was like 24. And like, you're making me feel like 10 years from now, nothing's going to change if something doesn't happen now. And I know you believe that too. It's why you're here trying to talk this through. So what she ended up doing was, and she was dealing with an older person, but I think she started listening to the podcast and then sending like, look, just download this episode and listen from this spot to this spot. And it made enough sense to her son that he started eventually doing it. And what we found there was, I think she found that he just didn't believe there was any answer. And so that it was never worth trying. But your son knows it works. So I think his issue is more his age and his inability to focus or care, probably.
Yep. Yeah. We talk about the podcast all the time. I mean, he's listened to a couple episodes and then he's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Cause I'm like, dude, I really want you to listen to this one. Like, what was the little boy's name? I think it would did plays and things.
Yeah. Was it Jonathan?
He's awesome.
Right. And he's about your son's age at the time you recorded it. But he's a good example though of somebody who, like I said, I think would have done would have done anything that he was supposed to do, which is not a slight on him actually. But I mean, I'm not a rule follower. You guys know me through the podcast, but the podcast is the only thing I've ever planned out my entire life. Like, I know there are times when I start telling my wife, like, this summer, what I'm going to do on the show. And I know she looks at me like, I can't believe this idiot has a plan for 6 months from now. Like, because I don't plan anything out. And I don't have diabetes, but I plan out Arden stuff. And I think about Arden stuff. I see how this stuff can happen too. Cause my wife's been working from home now through the pandemic for a while. And I see when she gets immersed in her job, she doesn't hear that thing beeping either. Like there's part of the reason I hear it is because it's part of my job description to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yep, mine too.
Yeah, it's why you hear it. It's the same thing. It fell to you and you're doing it. I mean, I think probably one of the interesting, things about the podcast is that I'm a guy, right? So I'm just, I'm not the one you think would be involved in this, generally speaking.
Generally.
Yeah, but a lot of happenstance, right? I became a stay-at-home dad at a time where men didn't really do that as much, and it stuck to me. I'm good at it, and to be perfectly honest, I don't want to go to work. It scares me. I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to have to shave every day. There's a lot of things I don't want to do. So
yes, I got to be a stay-at-home mom when Briar got diagnosed. We decided it would probably be best, because we were in this world of, oh my God, what just happened, and we have no idea what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
So I got to do that for I just got a job this summer, a real 9 to 5 job.
Does that coincide with your problems with Briar, or were they happening prior?
No. Well, so I was cleaning houses for the last 5 years,
Okay.
5.5 years. So I was working, but like I was home in time for him to get off the bus, and I was there, okay, you made a run high for the little bit of the afternoon, but I can get you down and then we'll have dinner and stuff. So, but now I don't get home till 5:30 at night.
Gotcha.
So
it's just a big chunk of the day.
Yes.
Yeah. Where he's just, and it feels, am I right? Just so we can talk through this. It feels like if this was something else, if it was anything, if, it was, I don't know, something crazy, like your 14-year-old drinking all day long, you'd punish him. But it's because it's around health, it feels like you don't want to cause a bigger problem. Is that right?
Yeah. So we've I don't want to call it punishing because I've never really grounded him or anything, but I've told him until you can get your blood sugars a little more under control and I am here to support you with anything. You call me, you text me, you ask me, whatever, until that we can get it in a better range. We can't do driver's ed and you can't get a driver's license because I can't trust you out there,
But none of that's immediate, so he's not having to pay the piper on that while you're saying it, right?
Right, but he can do driver's ed right now.
Oh, because that's right. Because you live in Montana, he's probably allowed to drive when he's younger. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't care.
He cares, but it's not enough care. I don't think. Deep down.
Yeah, I wish it was possible for you to just buy a car, park it outside, and go, "That's your car."
Yeah.
Take care of yourself and you can get your license. Because that might motivate him. Although, maybe it wouldn't. It sounds like you're onto something with the chainsaw idea.
I think.
What is he going to do with the chainsaw, by the way? You don't think he's going to kill you with it for making him pre-bolus, do you?
No. He's not going to kill me. He might hold it up and scare me.
What a long-term plan. He's like, all right, so all I have to do is pre-bolus for 6 months. Then I can really shut this lady up.
Yeah. Then by then, maybe he will be in driver's ed and get himself a truck or something. And then he can sell firewood and you make even more money.
Right. And start teasing him along with other things that you don't have to pay for. Right. Mm-hmm. See, there you go. To me, that's the play. You want to motivate men. It's going to be sports, sex, money. That's pretty much all we have. We don't really care about a lot else beyond that. And like I said, he's too young. So for the one thing, he doesn't sound like he's into sports. So it sounds like he's into being self-sufficient. It sounds like he's into the lifestyle around there. So you just, create a yellow brick road in front of him of the things he wants, and he can slowly walk through them and get them. I mean, honestly, that's not any great idea. It's nothing revolutionary. I just think you got to lean into what he wants, and you got to start it somehow. And I
just really think you're smart.
Well, listen, I feel uncomfortable saying that, but if you want to say it again, I'll be quiet. Go ahead.
You are very smart, Scott. I'll put that on the t-shirt too.
Oh, Nicole, thank you. It was so unexpected. I appreciate it. No, but seriously, it just, to me, that makes sense. There's just a lot of long gaming with parenting, in my opinion. I'm right now, I'll tell you, I'm in a 25-year long game with my wife. And I think if I get 60 or 70, maybe even 100 more years, I'm going to get her where I want her.
It's going to take a long time for me too.
Yeah. It sounds like you're in trouble. The railroad job really does sound like a little boy's dream come true. So probably it isn't once you do it, but
kind of. But because of the way we are here, a lot of little boys get to do a lot of really cool things.
Right.
Like run excavators and drive in the woods and use chainsaws.
Yeah, do stuff like that. And most of that's supported by the state or by tourism. Is that right? Is that where most of the money comes in from?
Yes, it used to be in timber, but a lot of people think that we don't grow trees here anymore. So
they're buying them somewhere else.
They have shut our timber industry down.
Ah, I see.
Not completely, but a lot. So if you come here and you see, wow, there's no trees. There's so many trees, it's not even funny.
Gotcha.
that's what causes our forest fires. And
everything else.
It's the trees don't grow well because there's too many of them because they don't get a lot of sunlight. So
I got you. So back to my question that I didn't get my answer to because I went off on a silly rant. No, this is my fault. What's he going to use the chainsaw for?
Trees.
To what end? I guess to stack firewood, to sell firewood. That kind of an idea. Yep, pretty much. And then we have a fire pit in our yard, and we go back in the woods and have fires all the time. So hey, cut up a couple logs and let's have a fire. So you can even tell him that, look, if that's something you want to do, I'll be your first customer. You know what I mean? I'll buy split firewood from you too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of weird though.
No, it's not.
For us to buy, we don't buy wood. We also don't have a wood stove in our house. We just have our local fire pit, which we live in the woods, so it's no big deal.
You just go get something and lay it in there and set it on fire. Yeah. But
there are a lot of people here who do buy firewood.
Right.
So.
That's it. Well, yeah. So listen, let's get you this. And then we can, once you get that going, I would make that point. Look, once you have done this thing and saved this money up and gotten what you need, you're going to feel much more differently physically than you think at the moment, right? You're just going to be in a better health situation. And then, no problem. Then I'm comfortable with you getting your driver's license. And then think where that goes. Now you have your driver's license, you have the saw, you've got a little business going for yourself, and you can get going and do the things you want to do. I would be clear with him. I want you to do the things you want to do. I just can't have you driving around in a car with a 400 blood sugar all day. And I can't live with the idea that this is your level of health, because it's not going to work out in the long term. I'm going to get older and then you're going to be alone having health issues. And I can't have that. I'm your mom. This is my job. You need to let me do my job. That sort of a thing.
Yes, that's great.
That's where I'm at.
Great way to explain it.
Yeah. Or I could just yell at him if you want to put him on the podcast at some point.
I wish he was sitting here with me.
No, you know what? It's funny. If you got him on this podcast, he'd say 4 words. Right? He'd be like, yeah. Great. I love it when people are like, can my kid come on? I'm like, can your kid talk? And everybody's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, they all can't. I know you think they can, but they can't. I actually interviewed an 11-year-old the other day who was surprisingly good at explaining his story. And I'm going to put it out soon.
Good. But I can't wait for Arden's episodes to come out.
I'm looking at a box with a microphone in it, so we're getting closer.
Good.
Yeah, we're trying to get her through.
Those are the ones that I wanted prior to hear.
I'm interested. I honestly don't know how they're going to go either, so I'm very interested in the building of them as well. We're just trying to get Arden through. She gets her period twice a month, and it
poor girl.
kicks her ass. And it's not just for like this month is, for example, 11 days with a period, 5 days off, started back up again.
So I'm a girl like you are a boy, and I understand what poor Arden's going through.
Yeah, it's
that
terrible.
Sucks.
It wipes her out. It depletes her iron. She starts getting achy muscles and joints and everything because she's just constantly losing blood. And so we're 6 or 7 weeks into. I think somebody wants to buy a window.
Yeah.
We're 6 or. I was just like, wow, that's the first person that's come in that store in an hour. That's crazy.
It's slow. It's wintertime. It's slow.
But she's like 6 or 7 weeks into trying like a birth control pill as a way to moderate her periods, and so far it has not done anything. So the doctor's like, this will probably almost completely stop her periods, and we're like, great. Then
doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, made it like my wife's like, let's get through this next pack and go into the 3rd month. She's like, but halfway into the 3rd month, if this isn't like, if her first period of the 3rd pack of pills doesn't at least lessen in time, she's like, I think we have to assume this isn't working. So, but we're just trying all that. So I don't want to record with her on her her 5 good days of the month. I'm trying to get her to a spot where she's feeling like herself again.
Oh,
yeah. So. And we don't know what it is. Like, she's been to anyone listening, don't bother. We've been to rheumatology. Her thyroid is managed to within an inch of its life. Her blood sugars are fantastic. She eats well. You know, like we can't, every place she, like when we went to the rheumatologist, we got out of the car and she goes, "This is a waste of time, you know, right? This lady's not going to find anything." And I was like, no, wait, we'll find. And we got in there and we walked out and she was like, "See?" I was like, "Yeah, I see." But we're just, so we're trying everything.
Yeah.
That's it. I hope Arden doesn't end up being one of those people who's only happy when they're pregnant, because I don't want that many grandchildren. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
True. But pregnancy is not all it's cracked up to be. But
I have to be honest with you, and I mean this with a ton of reverence. Women get completely screwed by this like nature thing. There's not a lot that's great about it. Yeah, it's terrible. It's almost like there are times that I feel like, you want to go down a weird rabbit hole before we say goodbye, Nicole?
Absolutely.
There are times I feel like that nature, you know, just the process of living. Like, I know we think of ourselves differently because we can think and we have thoughts and we have feelings and care about other people, but we're really just machines to make more people, right? And I feel like women's bodies were designed to like make a baby and then start to degrade. And then so they gets you out of the way so that the next baby can make another baby. Like, and now we've extended our lives, right? Because before, like, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. We were dying in our like 30s, right? Like like a nice long life was 42. Like, oh my God, can you imagine? Bill lived to 42. And so now we're stretching this out. And now you poor women are having more children and then living for decades afterwards, you know, and you gave away so much of yourself to make those babies, you know? So
yes, I'm pretty sure those babies ate like all my muscles and all everything inside of me.
My wife sometimes is like, "How did my feet get bigger? Of all the things that happened," like she says, "That was cruel," you know. And Kelly's thyroid like went nuts after she had one of our kids too. Like that's when she had the breakdown of her thyroid situation, which looked like was never going to happen to her, and then it ran her over. But it sucks because you are really giving so much of yourself. Like you're so much of the, like I joke about my part in it, but my part in it lasted about 11 minutes and that's me bragging. And so, but after that, like, you know, it just, so much of the building blocks come, you know, obviously from the mother. It seems unfair. And and you don't really feel it till you have a daughter as a guy for me. Like it wasn't till I saw, like it was one thing to have a girlfriend and then a wife and a mom to be like connected to her. But when you see it impact a daughter, it hurts a little bit. So anyway, you guys are getting and then you have to deal with guys, which
I know.
I mean, honestly, I know some decent guys, but most of us are just a mess. So
I know.
It's not, I don't think it's my fault, but I should not be in a situation where I tell you that in the last couple of years, I really think I started pulling it together.
I completely understand that.
I'm a little old for that statement. I feels like, But anyway, you have my condolences for your uterus and other parts that you got stuck with. Although I'm sure it's great to be a mom, and you probably get all kinds of like emotional stuff that I don't get. So
here and there, but you can take the uterus, get rid of it.
Doesn't make up for the period thing, right? Jesus.
Awesome.
Like there's not one better way to indicate that you're not pregnant. Like you couldn't just have like an indicator light on your forehead or something like that. I think it has to be this. Or like imagine if it was something else. Like, I don't know, you know, your pinky fingernail turned pink and that meant you weren't pregnant. Like, wouldn't that have been nice? Like who thought this through? No one, obviously. Obviously. I don't know if there's a God, but if there is, he's a guy because because he was like, I don't know, whatever. Make them bleed through their vagina for like a week to prove they're not pregnant. What kind of a fucking thing is that, Nicole? I went this whole episode without cursing, and then I thought about that.
Oh no, it's good. I swear it like a sailor. So
yeah, you know, I would think you would, just because you live in the outdoors, and if I lived out where nobody could hear me, I don't even know if I'd use connecting words anymore, or if I would just
quit.
All right. Was this any help to you at all?
It was. I like I said, I think you're very smart and you're brilliant, and I'm going to try this. And we're going to make it work.
I want to know what happens. And seriously, the best thing I can tell you is that you need to be a little chill about it. But at the same time, I don't know how you get out of this without making sure that he understands that this is for him, that this is for a part of his life that he can't even imagine yet. And you can imagine it because you're there, and, you know, and you love him and you care about him. And that's why this is important. You want him to have a long, healthy, happy life where he's not always thinking about his diabetes. And you can tell him, if he knows that you spoke to me, you can tell him that I said there is a place he can get to where he can eat what he wants and his blood sugars do not need to be like that. And it'll be a much easier life for him.
Right.
You know, it's such a leap to get through that idea, but he can put a few minutes worth of effort throughout the day to save those other 23 and a half hours. And, and that's it. So, okay. I really do. I wish you a ton of luck. And that bell just seemed like a great place to stop.
I think it's one of my owners.
All right, go. I'll see you later.
Uh-oh. It's all good. All right. Thank you, Scott.
This was really terrific. Hey, huge thanks to Nicole for coming on the show and having this conversation. I thought it was fantastic. Hopefully you did too. I'd also like to thank Dexcom, makers of the G6 continuous glucose monitor, and remind you to go to dexcom.com/juicebox to find out more. And of course, Omnipod. They got a lot going on over there. First of all, the Omnipod Promise is alive and well. If you don't know what that is, you got to get back to the ad. And if you're looking for the possibility of a free 30-day trial of the Omnipod Dash, well, that might just be waiting for you at omnipod.com/juicebox. Head over there and find out if you qualify. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.